All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting for Thursday, March 7th, 2024. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome. We'll start off with any agenda additions or changes.
No, sir.
All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'll move the agenda.
Oh, sorry, let me move it first, and then I'll support it. All right, moved, supported by Commissioner Mudry. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda passes. Approval of the February 1st, 2024 minutes. Moved, support by Commissioner Haskell. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, minutes approved. Moving on, the first limited public comment. All right, seeing none, you'll have an opportunity at the end of the meeting for another opportunity. Sheriff's Office update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Controller Sovey. I'm here to read the highlights or present the highlights for Sheriff Reich for February 2024. It was a pretty busy month. It's normally obviously a little bit shorter of a month, but there's a lot going on. On February 2nd, deputies responded to the ZAP Zone facility in Delta Township, where the staff had reported hearing gunshots in the parking lot. We investigated, retrieved 4 9mm casings from the parking lot, but did not locate any victims or suspects. On February 3rd, a male was at DFCU in Delta trying to cash stolen checks. The bank employee recognized him from pictures from a previous incident in Meridian Township the day before and called 911. Deputies arrived and the suspect admitted to everything and said another male suspect had been stealing mail over the last week in the East Lansing area. The suspect was arrested and lodged for uttering and publishing a financial instrument and for possession of methamphetamine. On February 4th, a witness called in a complaint of a domestic assault occurring on westbound I-96 crossing into Delta Township. The vehicle eventually went southbound on I-69. The caller continued following and said that the vehicle was swerving all over the road while the male driver was banging the female passenger's head against the window and putting her in a chokehold. Then a phone call to 911 was also made from a phone in the suspect's vehicle. A female there said she was being kidnapped, and then the phone was thrown out of the window. Deputies were able to get them stopped north of Charlotte and arrested the male without incident. The female was a protected party from the male suspect from a previous domestic violence strangulation case a few weeks ago in a different county. Their child was present in the backseat through all of this as well. On February 4th, we were dispatched to an attempted stolen vehicle, unlawful driving away of an automobile. 2 friends reported that they were sitting in their car in the 7,000 block of Williams Road when 3 masked men ran up to the car and opened the back doors. The suspect saw that there were people in the car and fled the area. We were unable to locate them. On February 7th at the Ramada Inn Hotel in Delta Township, deputies were dispatched there to assist employees who wished to evict some people from a room. These people had checked in the night before, but there had been a lot of people coming and going, and several calls had been made to the front desk asking for them to be checked on. Deputies found that there was a male and female in the room, and it appeared that they were flushing drugs down the toilet while the deputies were trying to make contact. When the occupants came out, they could barely walk. They both ended up falling down outside, and deputies administered Narcan to both of them. They were transported to the hospital by EMS. Deputies located a 9mm handgun along with ammunition in the room. Be seeking charges. On February the 8th, deputies investigated a larceny of tools from the construction site on South Marketplace across from the Secretary of State in Delta Township. The suspects cut the lock to the gate and then drilled out all of the locks on 3 large storage containers, a semi-trailer, and 3 large tool bins, and took a lot of tools. On February 12th, Clinton County Sheriff's deputies came into Eaton County in pursuit of 2 stolen Kias. The Grand Ledge Police assisted in that pursuit. Our Eaton County deputies were not involved in the pursuit, but remained in the area to assist if needed. One of the stolen Kias went north on Sunfield Road into Ionia County, crashed and rolled over. Deputies went to assist at the crash scene because the vehicle had 4 total occupants in it. 2 of these people had escaped from Ingham's Youth Detention Center. 3 of the occupants were not seriously injured, but a 4th occupant, a juvenile female, was fatally injured. Our deputies pulled the female out of the car, started CPR, and applied to AED, but she was deceased at the scene. On February 14th, deputies were dispatched to the Home Depot store for a retail fraud in progress. 2 males were stealing from the store, and deputies arrested them without incident. When conducting a search of them, they located 3 guns on the 2 males. One of the guns was stolen. Both of them were charged with several crimes, including carrying a concealed weapon. On February 19th, deputies responded to a report of an assault at Meyer at 5125 West Saginaw Highway. A male had been shot a few weeks back in Lansing. This shooting victim was in Meyer and saw the suspect from that previous shooting. The male then told his friends outside about the suspect being inside Meyer. His friends went into Meyer and assaulted the suspect from the original shooting that occurred in Lansing. The male and female were arrested for this assault. On February 21st, deputies were dispatched on a report of an aggravated assault in Sunfield. A female was trying to drive her intoxicated ex-boyfriend home. A male grabbed her by the hair and yanked her out of the car from the driver's seat through the passenger side, tried to bite her neck, and threw her on the ground. He then jumped into the driver's seat and took off. The male suspect was known to us and had a felony warrant out for his arrest. We spotted him on M43 going back into town. Deputies tried to stop him, and he fled through some side streets. Deputies located him pulling into a residence, and he tried to take off running into the house, but they were able to apprehend him, and he was arrested on several felony charges. On February 23rd, deputies responded to a report of a 2-car personal injury vehicle crash on Snow Road on the overpass of I-496. There were 8 persons total injured in the crash, 5 of them being children. It was initially believed that there were no serious injuries, but when one of the children was examined at the hospital, they began monitoring a brain bleed that he was experiencing. 2 of the other children were then transported to the University of Michigan Hospital for treatment. Deputies then sought and obtained a search warrant for blood, and it was conducted on the at-fault driver in the crash, who had admitted to drinking alcohol. On February 25th, deputies were dispatched to a report of a felonious domestic assault at the Country Inn and Suites Hotel in Delta Township. 2 brothers were staying there and working in the area. Their other brother shows up, and he's unwelcome there at the room. He was asked to leave and instead pulls a gun, physically assaults one brother, and pointed the gun at the other brother. The suspect left in a vehicle. Our deputies located him, arrested him, and seized the gun that was used. On February 26th, there was a report of several cars being stolen at the GM car storage facility off Davis Highway. That call was handled by the state police, so I don't have any further details at this time. Any questions for me at this time?
Things don't seem to slow down at all, do they?
No, they aren't. They really aren't. It's,
Thanks for that report. Any questions for Under Sheriff Cook? All right, thank you. All right, moving on next. The Michigan Leaning Collaborative to support Mound and County jails.
we were invited to participate in this statewide learning collaboration. It's coordinated by MDHHS, and they did a contractual arrangement with HMA. You might recall that HMA was the organization that the private federal collaboration called Building Bridges we participated in, and that was a national collaboration involving us going out to Washington, D.C. and participating with 16 counties across the country. Well, they're now doing this more at a state level. And because of our experience in that previous program and actually being a leader in this area, because our jail was one of the first, if not the first in Michigan, to do medication-assisted treatment with all 3 FDA-approved medications, and that went full bore in 2017. And some of you remember Bill Jenkins being the person who I always give credit to for pioneering that program and bringing that to me and Sheriff Reich. And we obviously agreed very much in the importance of this. This Michigan Learning Collaborative involves county jails, and in your packet there, you'll see a lot of the bullet points that this will cover, and I can try to expand on or expound on them. And if you would like, there is an opportunity as part of this. I could tell you that Ingham and Jackson County and now Genesee County have joined it, and there are other counties. But there is an opportunity as part of this to obtain $25,000 to be used to improve upon or assist in things that we're trying to do in our residential substance abuse treatment program and medication-assisted treatment program in the jail. It's not required that we apply for it, but it would involve a memorandum of understanding, and as I understand it, most of that's going to be involving data sharing with MDHHS, which we already have an agreement to share data with, and to work with the other counties as part of this collaboration. And I have brought I asked our jail health coordinator, Anna Waltersdorf, to come today. I went to her with this program when I received the information, because Anna Waltersdorf, BSN RN, she has the letters after her name. She's the one that runs our jail medical. And we're very pleased to have her. She's done a phenomenal job, not only caring for the medical needs of the inmates, but in administering the RSAT and MAT program. So she is here today if you would like to hear from her or ask her any questions about how we think this could benefit us to become involved in it.
All right, thank you. Questions for Under Sheriff Cook?
Are we going to hear from?
Anna?
Yeah, she's gonna, yeah, I didn't know if she was, okay. I didn't know if you were waiting for us to ask questions or she had a presentation. Come on up, welcome, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me. Like Under Sheriff Cook said, he came to me with this initiative, and I understand that you all received the same paperwork from him that I did, kind of outlining how we could use it. MAT in the jails is a very expensive undertaking, and it can benefit so many. So the $25,000, we've talked about putting that towards Sublocade injections, which are a monthly injection for people with opioid use disorder. This prevents us from having to administer a daily medication to them that is highly divertible. We have a whole protocol for that, but It's about $1,600 a dose.
I'm sorry, what's the medication called again? I'm sorry.
Sublocade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about $1,600 a dose without insurance, and we do not currently, under law, have a way to bill insurance, so it's quite pricey, but very effective. I don't know if you have any questions about it.
How many, like what percentage of people in the jail get that, would you say?
So we have one person referred to it right now. We only were able to purchase 10 doses with the previous grant. So it's not a high percentage that gets it. I don't have the exact number.
That's all right, I was just curious, like,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, so how does do you have stipulations of how exactly you gotta spend this money? Is it like on training, or is it?
I could probably answer it a little bit because I've had a little bit more conversation with them. I'm being told that there is very, very low, how do you want to say it, regulations on it. It needs to be spent towards implementing a program like this. Obviously, we don't want to conflict with anything that we're getting from another grant because we're not allowed to do that. However, that's what we did with the funds from building bridges, is we're able to get those very expensive Sublocade injections. But according to Mr. Vanden Heuvel, they refer to it as a stipend. And later, it may end up being referred to as some type of a grant, but it's not going to be a process like you normally have to go through for a federal grant. If you're part of this collaborative, those that are participating in it can do a memorandum of understanding, as it was explained to me, entering our participation in the program, and then we will be able to receive the funds. So we just need to be careful on our end, as it was pointed out to me, to make sure that we're not doing something to supplant a grant that we're already receiving. And I think the Sublocade is what we did before with the building bridges, so it did not cause a conflict. As Anna said, that would be a good thing right now. But if we find out that there's a better use for it, then we'll try to apply it towards that. Our goal in this is twofold: to assist other counties that aren't doing this, that should be doing this, because there's a lot of federal mandates that are coming down the pike that are saying, you're going to have to do this. And so they appreciate our involvement because of our history and Anna's expertise in this, and then experience in this. And then the other thing is we want to get better. We want to improve, and there's going to be a lot of things in here on evidence-based screening and assessment. There's some new and emerging trends and community practices. So we want to make sure that we're not falling behind. We want to continue to be leaders and be out in front, and we think this will help. We'll help do that.
Is it, I mean, are you intending to supplement what you're already doing?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Haskell.
So my understanding is that this stipend grant, whatever we want to call it, there's no matching milestones or anything. We have to go through that. And it's going to supplement something that we're already started and we're just going to grow. I guess for procedural reasons, is there any sort of blessing that we need to give from this moving forward, or?
Yes, we would need, I wrote a motion.
Okay,
We would need to move the memorandum of understanding for participation in the program and to the associated budget amendment to Ways and Means.
okay. So I guess the budget amendment would just be to welcome in the cash, not, again, we're not,
Right, well,
Only
we would
upping
have to,
monies.
we would have a revenue coming in, and then we would create a line item for him to use the funding. So we can put it under professional services.
Okay.
Or medical supplies.
okay.
And I was told that this is coming at a later point. They were just accepting applications for people who are interested in belonging this. We don't have to apply for money or accept money. To be part of this collaboration, that's not a requirement. I think it might be a benefit, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd want, just to do it all at one time would be good, rather than to come back and do a budget amendment later.
I don't want to, step on anyone's toes around here, but I'd be happy to make that a motion. It seems like
Yeah.
a no-brainer.
Before you make that motion, any other questions? All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Haskell,
Please.
support from Commissioner Drosha. All right, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you very much for that presentation. We appreciate your time. All right, moving on next, Central Dispatch update. Kelly.
Good afternoon. Obviously, we've had a very busy month with calls, as you can tell by the Sheriff's Department report. Also, of course, lots of training. Myself and Supervisor Howland attended 911 Goes to Washington in Washington, D.C. And Supervisor Howland was awarded a scholarship to represent Michigan NENA at this conference. So her registration, travel, lodging, and food was all covered by Michigan NENA. A few topics we talked about, next generation 911 funding, and we were asking the representatives to support the use of the FCC Spectrum auction revenues to fund next generation 911. So we are very fortunate in the state of Michigan that we are basically one area of our state is in the process of still transferring over to next generation 911, but we are fully deployed in that matter. The big issue is the data sharing. So a lot of times when things happen in Eaton County, that information isn't easily shared with our CAD systems with surrounding counties, and then even furthermore, state lines. So that's what we're looking for. And then telecommunicator reclassification, we were asking for the representatives to co-sponsor and support the 911 Saves Act to reclassify public safety telecommunicators as a protective service in the Bureau of Labor of Statistics Standards Occupational Classification System. And obviously, you did a resolution here, and I did share that with the representatives I met with. We were able to meet with Congressman Molinar, Senator Stabenow, Senator Peters, and Congresswoman Slotkin was unavailable, but we did leave information for her. And it did fall that we were there, and the House was on a break. So we did meet with a lot of staffers, and I was able to meet with a few senators in person. So it was a good experience. There was a good representation for Michigan. We were also able to send 6 people to the Michigan Statewide Interoperability Communications Conference in Muskegon. And this training was made possible by the Eaton County Emergency Management Office and the Homeland Security Grant Program. So, thank you, Emergency Management. And our current projects, we are in the midst of trying to plan our dispatch floor remodel. Our carpet is very, very old. The carpet has been there since I started. You can no longer clean it. So we are planning that, getting a little fresh reconfigure with our desk and new sides. Normal offices, you could just do that while they work, or, have a day off. That's not the case for 911. So this takes a lot of planning between our furniture vendor, physical plant, and technology services. And then we also have to bring in our radio and 911 phone vendors. So we plan on, I do not have a date yet, but we plan on relocating to our EOC training room in the basement of our building for hopefully less than a month. Fingers crossed. There is currently one opening for the public safety telecommunicator vacancy. We did have oral boards yesterday. We did extend a conditional offer to one person, and they are currently in the background and psych evaluation phase. And so we had 6 total. How the hiring process works at Eaton County 911 is they apply, you are given a link to take a test, and it tests multitasking and typing and listening, all sorts of different things. So if you pass the test, we then move you to an administrative interview. And that's important because sometimes people don't know what they're getting themselves into. So we ask questions like, you will work nights, weekends, and holidays, and days you would prefer to have off. How do you expect to handle that? And you'd be surprised how many people are very surprised they have to work nights and weekends. So you do weed some out through there. We had about 50 applicants, and we had about 20 pass the test, and we moved 6 to oral boards. So out of that 6, we gave 1 a conditional offer, and we are extending 3 sit-alongs to 3 candidates to be on the hiring list. So we always want them to come sit in dispatch and see what they're getting themselves into. But it's a little different, like you could talk about it and say, you have to work nights, weekends, you're in this room for 12 hours, those type of things. But we want to make sure that if we're going to move forward with the hiring process, that they know what they're getting themselves into. So, and it also gives them an opportunity to interact with our staff. So we're hoping to have 3 on our hiring list, and we have 1 that actually did a sit-along pre-interview because they asked, and they were given a conditional offer. So, on Valentine's Day, February 14th, we did have a telecommunicator, Cavendier, helped deliver a baby girl. So we did our little Facebook post, and WLNS reached out to us to come do a news story. So they came and interviewed her. If you want to see that story, it is on our Facebook page, and you can see her video. She was not expecting to be on the news that day. She's like, wait a second. I'm like, that's what happens when you deliver babies. So, and then Supervisor Thacker attended the Diamonddale Car Show planning meeting. The reason I bring this up is no matter what event someone is having in this community, it's important for 911 to be involved, because what happens is we help them create a communications plan, whether they need dedicated dispatchers to listen to the radio traffic, or even if it's not going to be monitored. But we assign different radio talk groups to them, and we always want it to be so that they can expand. So today, bad things happen, right? So if there's a parade, obviously you've watched the news that bad things can happen during those events now. So what we do when we plan out their communications plan for the event is that we ensure there's interoperability and room for expansion. So if something happens, we want to make sure the talk group that they are on stays free and clear so we can get that information. But then we want the units that are coming to help to be on a different talk group so we can get them organized and then switched over to that. So it's all planning and making sure that those talk groups are close to each other in their radios, and that police, fire, and EMS are all able to communicate. So a lot of communities reach out to us and have us a part of their planning process now. And the other thing is, we have started partnering with the Lansing Community College, the Mid-Michigan Police Academy. We went there to teach radio training to them on how to use the radios. And then they do night scenarios. So these are different scenarios that are given to them, and they used our extra radios, and our dispatchers dispatched them to a call, and then they had to give radio traffic back and forth. So this was a pretty cool event because it's letting our dispatchers kind of mold and shape and the future law enforcement officers that could possibly talk to them on the other side of the radio. And normally, when the sheriff's department teaches at the police academy, those hours are basically put into a fund for them to use for the police academy to send recruits to. I know there's a grant right now that covers that, but in the future, those credits are set aside for Eaton County Sheriff's Department to use to send recruits. Since dispatch does not have a college program there that we could benefit from that, I did ask them to take those hours my dispatchers work and put that into the Sheriff's Department fund for recruits in the future. So it's kind of a win-win for Eaton County. And then just a few upcoming things. We had a meeting today we're planning a full-scale active violence incident exercise with Charlotte Police Department, Charlotte Public Schools, and other stakeholders and first responders in the county. That is planned for August 1st. You will hear a lot more information on that. And then also, last month I informed you that we had an employee get their child passenger safety technician certification. I had 2 more pass today. It is a 40-hour class. It is pretty extensive. And we sent we got forms and legal jargon, all that stuff, all situated. So today, possibly today or tomorrow, depends on how busy I get, but when I get back to the office, we are going to distribute a link to the public where they can set up a time and schedule so it's called a car seat checkup. And the goal of it is not necessarily for my dispatchers to install the car seat, but it's a one-on-one learning experience. It's so that they understand how to install the car seat themselves and how to check to make sure everything is installed correctly. So we are going to get that out. And then the health department and I have been in contact. They're going to try to utilize us through some of their events. And they are getting me in contact with some organizations that we could send people to if they can't afford a car seat. So some options there. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions for Kelly? I just want to say, that's a great idea with the events, the talk groups you have for the events. How long have you guys been doing that? Is it just like a new thing, or?
No, we've actually been doing it for quite a few years. Especially, it's been easier since we went live with the Michigan Public Safety Communication System. But more and more agencies are finding out that we do it, so they're making us a part of their planning process, so it's a
Okay.
good thing.
Gotcha. And the car seat thing, that's, I used to do that a long time ago. You'd think that'd be easy, putting a car seat in a car, but that's like a science.
yes.
So congratulations to people that took that
It
class,
is.
'cause it's quite extensive.
Actually, 2 of them called us as we were coming over here, and they're like, "We passed. That was a lot for car seats." And you know, we found the need for it because they call Central Dispatch to say, "Is there anyone that can, teach me how to put in this car seat?" And just with staffing levels at fire departments and police departments, there isn't anyone anymore. So we've had a need for it, and we recognize that. So we sent some of our employees to go get certified, and we're looking forward to also offering this at community events like National Night Out and different things. So I even discussed with one of the dispatchers today. She's like, "Do you think that we could set up a time, like even in Delta at the fire department, where people could schedule up there on a certain day?" And so we're going to work that all out.
All right, great. Commissioner Mudry.
I'm an old guy now. Now, has the car seats become more standardized? I mean, it used to be where every one of them was different.
So I'm not a car seat technician. I do have children, though.
Maybe I should ask my
Yes.
chair.
You're asking about, are they standardized?
The installation part.
Oh, it's just so many different types. They are standardized, but there's, it can be 4 or 5 different types. One thing that'll blow your mind is that car seats actually expire. There's actually an
Yep.
expiration date on car
do.
seats, which I didn't know that before I took this class. So if you're buying a car seat at a garage sale, make sure it's not expired.
Yes.
Yeah, don't.
I know Target has a collection, I think once a year. You can take it over there and they give you like
A voucher
certificate,
for.
a voucher, yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason I found that out is because I found that the car seat we had expired, so
Yeah.
Target was the place to get rid of it.
All right, I'll look into that, but the health department did send me a few resources we can direct people to get car seats if they are in need of one. Especially, they'll go over that, like the expiration and like, where did you buy this? Is it used? Because sometimes even the used ones, you don't know if they've been in a car accident or anything, so.
All right, no other questions. Thanks, Kelly. Great report. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, emergency management updates.
Good afternoon. So it has also been a very busy month in our office. Following the approval of the presidential declaration, disaster declaration, that was granted on February 8th, FEMA initiated the establishment of disaster recovery centers across the state. This was able to aid individuals and businesses impacted by the severe storms that happened back in August. The Eaton County location was at Lansing Community College's West Campus, and we were able to work with E-Tran to provide free transportation services for any individual who needed them within Eaton County. And over the past several months, we've been working with the Integrated Community Preparedness Training and Technical Assistance Program, that's also known as ICP-TTA, to develop a hazard-specific annex for active violence incidents. And this annex will have a focus on victim care. The annex is currently under review by subject matter experts, and upon completion, the annex will be integrated with our emergency operations plan. We also worked with ICP-TTA to facilitate a training session on crisis communication. Some of their experts came and were able to speak during this training. It focused on effective communication strategies in the aftermath of criminal violence or domestic terrorism incidents. And then Ryan was able to lead the Solution Room session at the Michigan Statewide Interoperable Communications Conference that Kelly had brought up. His session allowed for networking and peer advice that addressed communication challenges and offered solutions tailored to direct participants' needs. We were able to send a total of 9 representatives to this conference using the Homeland Security Grant Program. Our internship program has also opened and since closed. We will be making a selection in mid to late March, and the internship program is set to begin in May and end in August. The Emergency Operations Center was activated on February 26th to the monitoring and assessment level due to the high risk of severe weather over the next few days. On February 28th, we had a close call as the National Weather Service confirmed 2 tornadoes in the early morning hours, an EF1 tornado in Calhoun County with winds up to 110 miles per hour, and an EF2 tornado in Grand Blanc with winds up to 115 miles per hour. 2 situation reports were sent to internal and external stakeholders, and no community impacts were reaching the thresholds to increase the EOC's activation level. The EOC then deactivated at 8 a.m. on February 28th. On March 20th at 1 p.m., we'll commence the statewide tornado drill. There will be more information that becomes available this week, or next week, regarding that. And then lastly, we do have one action item, which is the fiscal year 2023 Homeland Security Grant Program Subrecipient Agreement. This agreement allows us to receive our allocation of funds from the Homeland Security Grant Program. And that is all I have.
All right, any questions for Ella on that grant? All right. Motion on the floor? Move it. Support by Commissioner Drosha. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ella. All right, good reports. All right, moving on to miscellaneous items. Anyone?
Miscellaneous.
No miscellaneous? Looks like we have limited public comment next. Any limited public comment? Seeing none, looks like we will adjourn for Thursday, April 4th. Have a good evening.